Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig. I'm very excited about today's guest. What we talk about in the city, there's so many creative people, so many awesome things, and we know about that there is a pretty big film and television production in the city, but I think people don't realize that there's also some awesome animation. And I have Michael here today. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Craig.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you are the founder of Mountain Fold Studio.
That's right.
And you do stop motion animation.
Yep.
I don't even know where to begin. I just love animation so much. I think it's so cool. And stop motion is something that has been around forever. Like, it's been a long time. So how did you get into animation? Because I feel like that's not, as we're going through as kids and learning, and hey, here are your possible professions, animator doesn't really come up.
For sure. So I went to school for graphic design and advertising at AU Arts.
Yeah.
Back when it was ACAD. Then I got my first job at an ad agency as an art director. Did not like that path.
No.
But I saw that there was really a need for clients to have motion design in their campaigns. So I left freelance and it was basically 2D graphics and motion design. And then one year, I think it was 2018, I participated in a challenge, a 100-day challenge. So you pick something to learn or do for 100 days and then you do that thing.
Oh, wow.
So I chose to learn stop motion animation. So I basically animated a paper box doing and being different things for 100 days.
Yeah.
And I just really fell in love with the medium and then chose to pursue that as a career after that.
So really just a random challenge.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden your life path is just diverted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As it happens, right?
Yeah,
just
it does.
Kind of a random thing.
It is very random. What do you love about stop motion?
I love how tactile it is.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the challenge, it really was a break from the computer. I spent all day, slaving on a computer.
Yeah.
And then this gave me an opportunity to use my hands and to build things and to play with real objects.
Yeah.
Something that I think we all are kind of craving. We're all in the digital world all the time. And just this tactileness of stop motion really caught my attention. So
were you a fan of I think we can think of Wallace and Gromit and Tim Burton movies,
Yep.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Were you a fan of all that stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas, Wallace and Gromit for sure.
Yeah.
And Gumby, remember Gumby?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those.
It's so... I think people may not be aware that is physical stuff.
Absolutely.
It's different than our, Pixar's done an amazing thing with animation, but that is still drawn and computer graphics and everything. But this is physically there.
Yes.
People can go to your studio and see this stuff,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. With little props and little puppets and sets and everything.
And how long does it take for just your 30 seconds?
That can take sometimes 2 months to do
Wow.
30 seconds. Yeah, because it's a lot of pre-production work and then, of course, the animation part. And then everything in between and after. So it can take a little bit of time. Yeah. But I love that aspect of it.
And I just thought of another one that's probably the most viewed, most well-known thing for, I don't know how many years now, 70, 80 years, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yes, yeah.
A 55-minute special that we've watched every single year since we were born, and they are moving their mouths.
That's a classic. Too.
Yeah. So it's always been there, and that's how they got King Kong. There was stop motion in that.
Yep. Star Wars.
Yes. And then we've gone to CGI, and I feel like it doesn't always hold up.
Yes. It's kind of lost its soul a little bit, and then stop motion kind of brings the humanity back to things.
And what I love about animation is I think it grabs you more. So I'm assuming with clients, they're very much, because if you're scrolling through Instagram and it's just solid pictures, but then those animation videos come up or whatever it may be, an ad with video, things moving, it really grabs people, right?
Absolutely.
It's such a important motivator.
It's the attention economy is what it's called now. Just to grab people's attention with some movement.
Right. And is there any one thing that you've been very proud of making?
I think my 100 days, it was a challenge, doing that for 100 days. Because basically I went to work, then saw my husband for a little bit, and then went back to animating in my room upstairs, right? So it for 100 days. So it did take a lot of time and effort, but I'm proud of the result of it. And that's really what started me down the path as well.
Right. What did your husband say when you were like, oh, I'm going to switch things up and I'm going to do this?
He was very supportive of it.
That's good, yes.
He was very supportive of it. Through the process, he considered himself single because he never saw me.
So he was doing his own 100-day challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I'm single.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll see my husband again.
Eventually.
Yeah. Well, it's important to have that supportive partnership, right? Like,
Absolutely.
That's key to following your dream and going for something.
Absolutely. Wouldn't be able to do it without him.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so what do you want people to know about stop motion animation, and why is it important, and why it's lasted all these years?
Sure. I think it's important nowadays because, there's such a boom in AI.
Yeah.
And, it's lost its soul, I consider. And I think people are really craving this kind of handmade where they can see, fingerprints or where a human touched a thing.
Yeah.
So I really believe that stop motion is coming back in a big way because of this boom in AI and the artificialness of it. And what I want people to know about stop motion is it's fun to do.
Yeah.
Really, like if you ever get the chance to try it, like definitely try it out. Even with like a phone and some Lego, it's just fun to build things and to move things in a real space.
Right.
Yeah.
I think about that Parks and Rec episode when Ben was unemployed for a bit, and he's like, "Look what I made," and he shows it, and it's like 5 seconds. Yeah. He's like, "That's it."
So could a depressed person make this?
Yeah.
Great.
It's so good, but it's a joke, but it's also it's a lot of work.
It is.
It's so do you have you had clients who you've shown them it or maybe halfway through and they're like, no, we don't like any of those, and you're like, oh,
too bad. No,
honey, do you know how much I've spent on this? How much time?
Not usually, because we have a process where they're involved at each step of the process. So when we get to the actual animation stage, everything else before it is kind of approved by them.
Right.
So there's no surprises when we start to animate. Because they know that we cannot go back. We can't just, we can reshoot it if they have the budget for it,
right.
But we can't just like in editing, like change something on the fly.
Right. So you mentioned people wanting to try it at home, just like using their phones and like Lego. What are some of your materials that you love to work with, or things that you've realized also that you're like, I can never use that material or item?
Sure. So I think one of my favorites is paper.
Yeah.
Because, as a trained graphic designer, I like the kind of flatness of paper and how you can like fold it to be anything in a 3D space. And I don't know if there's any materials where I would say it's like off limits or I don't want to use. Because that's the beauty of stop motion. Like you can animate anything in real life, like from people to droplets of water. It's whatever, right?
Right.
So yeah,
that's fair. Well, okay. And so now I want to ask you, like, what is it about animation that has, whether it's stop motion or like computer graphics with like Pixar or Disney or DreamWorks films, that have like continued with us all? Like we talk about these big movies that are making tons of money because adults are going to it, whether they have the kids with them or not.
Yep.
Like, we love animation. Why is it that society loves animation?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of it has to do with nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because like we grew up with, all the great Disney movies and Rudolph is all that. And it really is just another way of telling a story, telling a narrative. and we as humans connect with that. Sometimes better when it's like an animal or, a toaster from the Brave Little Toaster. It's why do you connect with animation? Like, do you?
I mean, yeah. I think the creativity and that imagination that can really come with it. Whereas, sometimes when you see those movies that again didn't age well, like some of the special effects, and you see these like people in this green room, and you're like, this is boring. Yeah. But when you see the animation, it's like looks so seamless, and it just continues. It's
meticulously crafted, and it's a lot of love goes into those.
Yeah. You have to really love what you're doing.
Definitely.
Because again, we talked about the time.
A lot of time.
So, Mountain Fold Studio. Were you nervous, excited to really take on this?
Both. Yeah, for sure. So, like as a freelancer, I think it was 6 years before that. So I had the kind of trajectory of being independent. Yeah. It's just I started the studio because I didn't want to do everything myself anymore. So I have a new art director. His name's Tyler Lemmermeyer. He's helping me out a lot with things. And it's just nice to have, another person there to bounce ideas off of and then just hand things to him as well. But it also comes with its own challenges too, because now we have rent for a place and everything that comes with that. And so it's kind of a trade-off in some senses, trading one problem for another.
Yeah.
But it is exciting. It's you're building this brand and this awareness of stop motion, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and again, like I said at the beginning, I don't think people realize that there's so many creative people and there's so many great things. We've got all these talented people. But one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on is to showcase animation, stop motion animation that's happening right here in the city.
Yeah, totally.
Like
when I do tell people, they're just kind of flabbergasted. Yeah. It's like, why? But it's great.
And they're like, is there enough business for that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Also another problem, but with any business.
Yes. Yeah, but it's so cool, and I think it's so unique, and there's so much work and effort you have to put in to make these things. So we'll plug your stuff at the end, but people can just go on your Instagram and just see all these little things you've done. And I saw some post you've had some kids come into the studio.
Yeah.
That
was cool.
What was that like for you to see the youngins get to witness and try things and teach them?
It was a really great experience, and that came about because for the direct energy spot, there was a little kind of mischievous cat.
Yeah,
and this kid just decided to make it out of cardboard and then her mom shared it, and then direct energy got in touch, and then we brought her in to kind of try out stop motion, and just her eyes lighting up and just having so much fun with the process was just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's so great, like when people do that for the next generation, because I always get worried that people are going to, the kids are going to lose that creativity or that spark of imagination, because it's so ingrained as kids and do whatever, be whatever, and then some point that just gets pushed aside.
Yep.
And then we get boring people in this world and lame things when there's people doing cool things.
Yeah, and it is about rediscovering too when you're an adult.
Yeah.
Because I do think that creativity kind of gets pushed down in school, be a scientist, or it's all important, but that creativity is not as championed in school a lot of the time. And
it's weird sometimes too, the way they do it. I remember I was in art class up until I had to take it because I was not artistic. I'm drama, acting and everything, but when it comes to physical art, drawings, clay work, I was not good with that stuff. I tried my best, and my art teacher was like getting mad at me and like giving me a low grade. I was like, that's not fair. He's like, the effort's not there. I was like, no, I put more effort in than like she did.
Yes.
She's just really good at art. We know this. And like, it just didn't, that was a class that I'm like, how is this fair? Like,
how do you grade someone on their art?
Yeah,
for sure.
Because then I can make that crap and maybe go and sell it, and people just think it's unique.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what are some of the things you're working on now? Like, can you, like, without giving anything away, if you're not allowed to, but
sure. So there's a conference coming up called Social West. And we're doing the opener kind of teaser video for it, which we're really excited for, all stop motion. So that's in June. And then we're doing some just 2D animated advertisements for Theatre Calgary coming out as well. So
Theatre Calgary.
It's a diverse thing, which I really love.
Yeah.
And we're still taking on like 2D cell animated stuff because Tyler's such a great illustrator.
Right.
But yeah, that's right now what we're kind of focusing on. And then personal projects too. We just released this little ski animation, which was a personal project that took a little longer than we expected, but we're happy with the result of it. So yeah, just to kind of keep the creativity flowing, just engaging in those personal things.
How many shots would you say is in like just even like a 10-second clip?
Sure. So we shoot at 12 frames per second. So that'd be 240.
Wow.
No, 120.
120.
Bad math.
You're an animator, not a mathematician.
Exactly.
We're going back to the school talk.
I went to art school. I don't know math.
Clearly, that's.
So yeah, it's not too many. Like I know a lot of animators shoot at 24 frames, but I find the 12 is a little more choppy and kind of more playful and stop motiony. Whereas the 24 is a little smoother and
right.
Yep.
So you have to like make sure that nothing's screwed up before you start taking these shots, like because oh crap, I left that paper towel roll in the shot.
Absolutely.
And we just spent a long time on this, but that can't be there because they're skiing or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And I mean, they're like if it's like the paper towel thing, whatever, we could probably Photoshop it out.
Yeah.
But like there's some times where you're animating, you're in the flow, and then you bump the camera or something, and it just screws up the entire thing. So then you have to restart because you can't kind of mask that mistake in bumping it. So you want to like glue everything down and make sure everything's secure and all these kind of pre-steps before you start animating,
right.
Because you don't want those mistakes in there.
Yeah, because and then sometimes the Photoshop doesn't look that good.
Absolutely,
like,
yes.
Something seems weird there.
Like we left the paper towels in there.
Okay, so why should companies reach out to animation companies and use them instead of just? I mean, we talked about AI. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the easy, quick fix, but it all looks the same.
Yep, people can tell.
And you're not paying right people for it.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Why should people consider using animation?
It can be a lot different than the rest. Like a lot of brands use, live action, which is great. But when everything's live action, you need something kind of break up the monotony of that. And animation is just such a good way to connect with your audience. And, whether that's showing off a product or a feature of something or telling the brand's story, animation can connect with an audience in a special way.
Right. Yeah. It's again, it's animation. It's something we've just always had and known and love, and it just takes us to this part. Because I think I read even that the upcoming Beetlejuice sequel, he's going to be using like some claymation animation
Fantastic.
stuff again because that happened in the original movie.
Yeah.
And I still like when Catherine O'Hara's stuff comes alive, like it still looks amazing.
Yes, yeah, because it just has this kind of realness to it. That's really hard to replicate with CGI.
Yeah,
and then like you say, it does kind of age poorly sometimes. Whereas if it's a real prop, then it holds up a little better.
Right. Would you do another 100-day challenge?
Maybe. So I've done 3 of them.
You've done 3?
Yeah. So like the stop motion one was the last one.
Yeah.
I did, and that's it.
That's it.
Like the first one was motion design, so I animated the day of I'd 1, 2, 3, and sequentially to 100. And the second one was drawing. Like I just drew something in my environment for 100 days. And the third was the stop motion. I was like, yeah, I'm done with 100 days. 300 days is too much.
That's a lot. That's almost a year.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that. Yeah.
That's almost a year of challenges.
Yeah.
Here I thought like those 28-day challenges was like, whoa, that's too much for me. Or you keep seeing everybody's doing the on Instagram, they're doing like the 30-day song challenge where they're just literally posting and like playing a song that relates to whatever that day is, and I'm like, even that, I'm like, 30 days is a long time just to share on Instagram.
Yep, definitely.
But
but then you get in this kind of groove, and it does allow you to grow and pursue things that you wouldn't really normally pursue.
Right. And I would think that that's what's really cool about your career, is that you can always have new challenges. Try a different item, try a different thing that you do with it, which not a lot of careers you get to do.
Definitely, yeah.
You kind of plateau, and then you're like, well, I've done it all.
Cubicle, yeah, for sure.
Did you know that you were not going to be a cubicle 9-to-5 person like as a kid?
No, I didn't, because I think that's the path we're all fed, especially when we were kind of younger. And it wasn't until I think I was mid-20s when I went to art school and tried that out that I just fell in love with it again. Because I did all the construction and serving and just to see what the heck I wanted to do the rest of my life. And luckily I found art again and pursued that.
It's funny because I feel like we've got similar paths, because I didn't go to post-secondary till I was in my 20s and because then I was like, oh, this is something I want to do. And I went to SAIT for radio broadcasting, and now I utilize all the stuff there. And then I've done all kinds of things, but it's, sometimes you got to wait. And when I was in school, I remember it's because I moved to high school in Crossfield, so small town. And so the teachers really got to know you, but there was such a focus on where are you going to post-secondary, like right after graduation. I was like, what? And I had 3 older siblings and older cousins who all did different paths. Like some went to post-secondary right away, dropped out. Some changed their major so many times. Some never went to post-secondary and are still in the job that they love. It just worked out that way. And I remember my comm teacher was like, we had one assignment where we had to pick 3 careers and figure out all the classes and courses and programs you can take. And so one of them I was like, you know what, I'd like to be a stay-at-home dad. I think that'd be fun. That'd be great. And he was like, well, what courses would you take? Because, I'm sorry, what? He's like, well, what? He's like, what about, first aid courses? I was like, you telling me that all the parents in the world have first aid?
Definitely not.
There was just this mentality that you had to go to school. And, it is important, but it's just not for everybody.
For sure.
I kind of hate that that happens.
That's pushed on us. Yeah. Because I also have many friends that, went right out of high school into post-secondary and, now they hate their job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do you want to do now? You can still change your career because you it's never too late to kind of change.
It's not, but people are so ingrained that they're like, well, I spent 4 years of post-secondary, spent all this money to get this job, and so here I am 10 years later, not happy in it, but maybe I'll just move to a different company.
Yeah. Okay.
Try a 100-day challenge.
Exactly. At least 28.
At least 28. 28's more doable.
Yeah.
So if people want to learn more, Mountain Fold Studio, they can... That's what it is on Instagram, right?
Mountain.fold.studio.
Yeah.
And then our website's mountainfold.studio.
.studio. That's cool. Yeah. What advice would you have to anybody who's thinking of going into stop motion animation?
Just try it out, really. Because it is such a low level of a barrier for entry. Like I said, you can just use your phone and some Lego or food or whatever it is, and try it out, really, and see if you enjoy it. And if you do, pursue it. Reach out to me. I can help out any way I can. But it isn't for everyone. Like it does take a lot of patience and focus to do this work.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love it. I just don't know if I've got the patience. I was like thinking of it as you were talking. I was like, oh, I got some Lego. Like, yeah. I was like, I don't know if I got the patience for it. I would probably be like Ben from Parks and Rec. That's it.
That's the joy of it.
That's the joy of it. What are some of your favorite places to go in Calgary?
Just like in general, or
I just I always talk about with people about all the cool things in Calgary, and I was like, what are just some cool places? Like, because I usually have the comedians or the singers, but I was like, somebody who just likes to go out. Where do you like to go?
For food, it's usually like Fortuna's Row, which is fantastic food. We go to movies. The Globe is always good. And like the Quick Draw Animation Society always puts on really great animation stuff around town. They have a giraffe animation festival in November.
Oh yeah.
Where it's a curated, animation festival. So you can check that out as well, which is always a good time.
Okay, so you mentioned movies. I love movies. Is it hard for you to watch movies sometimes when there's bad animation?
No.
Does it get to you, or are you like...
I think it is what it is. Like, there's so many behind the scenes things going on with it. With like Dune is a good example of the animation part of it, or the CGI stuff. Which is the recent movie I watched, and it was fantastic. I don't know if you've seen Dune yet? Dune 2?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yep. But like there are some scenes where they're using like practical effects in it.
Yeah.
And those are always just so lovely to see, because it also influences like kind of, well, we could probably do that with sand as well in some way, Yeah. So I don't think it ever really bothers me. It's kind of
it more inspires you?
Exactly, yeah. Or it can be this kind of campy leaning thing to it, like some of the old stop motion movies. But
yeah, if it's campy and you lean into it, that's good.
Yes.
But like, I mean, look at me trying to find a way to bring in Jurassic Park, but this is what I do. But that original Jurassic Park holds up because they use practical dinosaurs at times. Like, and their animation, they were like ahead of the time. But like, it's those actual scenes where that T-Rex is right by the Jeeps, like, and you're like, that's real.
Fantastic, yeah.
And it just sticks with you, and this is why it's, a beloved movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, see, I find a way to talk about Jurassic Park whenever possible.
We always should try to talk about Jurassic Park.
I think so. Okay, as we start to wrap up here, I always like to ask guests, what's awesome? What is awesome?
I was going to say the Giraffe Animation Festival.
Yeah.
Because it really is awesome. Like, a few years ago, they had, like, all stop-motion films in there. And it's cool. From all over the world. It's a very curated festival. And it's not too expensive. You just go to the Globe, usually, to see some great movies, some great shorts, meet some cool people.
Yeah.
And just enjoy animation.
Yeah.
I think that's...
There's so many great festivals in the city that I don't think people are aware of. Like,
sure.
And because even sometimes when I've talked about like the Calgary International Film Festival, which is definitely one of the bigger ones and more well known, there's people are like, "Oh, what's that? What? Wait, we have that?" I'm like, yes, yeah. We got Calgary Underground Film Festival happening here shortly.
Coming up.
We got the Black Film Festival. Like, there's so many festivals.
Fairy Tales.
Yes, yes. I volunteered there once. It was
nice.
good. Yeah. I was like, oh, I can see movies for free.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. I can do that. Yeah, I'm like, yes, please. But yeah, so there's a lot of great ones. So this one is in November, you said?
November, yeah.
November, okay.
Put on by the Quick Draw Animation Society. It's called Giraffe. Giant, incandescent, radiant animation festival. Giraffe. Yeah.
I also love giraffes, so that's...
Yeah, there we go.
I'm assuming you can't do stop motion really with actual animals. That's probably too...
Meaning like taxidermy.
Yeah.
Make it like a puppet out of a dead animal.
That's a valid point. Oh, that's fun. Well, Michael, I thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Craig.
So Mountain Fold Studio, mountain.fold.studio on Instagram, and mountainfold.studio is your website.
That's right.
Check it out. Whether you're a fan of animation, whether you're a business looking for something different to stand out, because it's getting very difficult on Instagram. Even like myself, when I'm promoting events, I'm trying to be different because people just scroll so quickly. But
They do.
Animation gets people.
Captures attention.
It captures attention.
Yeah.
Well, so check him out on Instagram and on website, and then maybe if you're looking for something in November, the Giraffe Festival.
For sure.
So many cool things. Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thank you, Craig.
And thank you all for passing time with me. We'll chat soon. Bye.